Here's another video on Supta Padangusthasana, pose to really work on your hamstrings. And I'm going to show you how to work with this pose using weights and also a few common mistakes. All right, so we're going to work with the wall in front of us, just like we did if you've seen the previous videos when we worked in Tadasana, and we really use the wall to energize the feet, lift the arches, push those 4 points of the feet into the wall, receive that energy back so that it energizes the whole pose. It gives you energy to lift the chest and really enjoy the pose in that way too. All right, so we have a wall for our feet. I have a 30-pound sandbag and a long belt. And if I need a belt for my hands, I can use this too. I will add a picture of what it looks like to work in this pose on the door jamb. There is a video that shows you how to do that, but you can also add the weight if you're working on the door jamb. Working on the door jamb gives you the support for your leg, for your standing or your lifted leg, and you can hold the pose for much longer and really develop the length in the hamstrings in that way. Okay, so we come down onto the mat. And I want to press my left foot into the wall. So make this left leg that stays down, make the leg very active. When you switch, it'll be the right leg that'll be very active when you bring the left leg up. So I'm bringing my right leg up, have a right foot onto the floor. My left foot is pushing against the wall. I'm lifting my arches, so I'm getting practice in all of those things. I'm pressing the balls of my toes into the wall, my heels, the 2 points of my heels into the wall, lifting the arches, making this leg very active. So as if I was making a fist with my hand, I'm making a fist with the muscles of the legs, bringing the kneecaps up, releasing any tension that this caused in my belly, eyes, ears, throat. So that's the first step. So we engage the muscles, see what other muscles want to help the leg be active, right? So the tongue has nothing to do with bringing the quality of active leg, but sometimes we press the tongue in order to activate the leg. So we learn how to differentiate between the two. All right, so here I'm going to place a weight on my thigh, and you can start out with 2 pounds, 3 pounds, and eventually work your way up. I want to place the weight in a way that it'll promote sort of this inner rotation of my legs. So I don't want to have the sandbag falling off on this side because it's going to give me an outer rotation. So I want a slight inner rotation with the sandbag, so kind of making the thigh roll in. And with that said, make sure that your foot here the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling, not out or in. Okay, so here I come and I grab my right leg and I bend that knee towards my chest. I have my belt handy. I make sure that if I'm interlacing my hands, I'm not putting them near the knee. I have them in the middle of the shin. And I start releasing here. So release the eyes, the ears, the throat. Make sure you're breathing. And start noticing what happens when you start working with weights. So at first, when you start working with weights, especially if they're heavy, we resist the weight. So the muscles push up. You want to, fight this weight. Eventually, you start releasing the weight. You start receiving the weight of the bag, and we start allowing this femur to ground, we call it. So the femur to kind of descend a little bit. So ground the femur, receive the weight of the sandbag. And what you will see is the more that you can release the tension in your groin. So by groin, I mean right this crease here that separates the leg from the body. The more that you can, just by releasing your eyes, ears, throat, you start releasing the belly, and then you start releasing the tension in the groin. And we help that with the sandbag, so you receive the weight of the bag. That space that you create for the leg here when you release the tension in the groin will allow this leg to be a little bit more free. So if you tense the groin, it'll tense everything. So learning how to release will improve your ability to get into poses and to go deeper in the poses, and to then, be able to come. And so as I bring the leg back, I teach myself how to release. So right where the weight is pressing down onto my left thigh, I release, receive the weight, and then I'm able to bring the right leg further back. And then I do the same thing, the tension builds. I really make my lifted right leg very active, straighten the knee as much as I can, and I learn how to release at the groin. So release the tension in the groin, receive the weight, and then release more. So it gives me that space to then just allow the leg to come down versus pulling it down. I don't want to pull the leg down. I want to release the leg down so that it comes down almost as if by itself. So using the weight, receiving the weight, and I can just stay here and just learn how to receive the weight, create the space in the opposite groin, and bring the leg back. It just comes down on that space, using the space that I created. It's a wonderful exercise, especially if you tie in, keep breathing, relaxing the eyes, the ears, the throat, and really get into this rhythm of releasing, creating space, and bringing the leg back into that space. So that's part one of what I wanted to show you. And the second part is some common mistakes that happen in this pose. So I'll show you with this side. So if I'm doing this pose, I have my kind of a tightness everywhere in the intercostals, tightness in the hamstrings, and I bring my leg up. What I see sometimes is this. So you lose the distance between the hips and the armpit, I scrunch up here. So I want to bring this leg all the way back and give me this maximum length in between my hips, my rib cage, and my armpit. So this is a result of tightness. So I bring it back. So I can work a few different ways here. One of the ways is I can put a strap here, and I'm going to put a strap around my foot. Make sure that I can tighten it easily. So, and I would want to tighten the strap so that I rotate my leg in here. So I will tighten it here, if that matters. Okay, so I have this belt around my foot and around the groin there.